Welcome to Industry Watch. I'm Al Korelin. We are in Vancouver, British Columbia right now, where I am chatting with Mike McInnis. Mike is the president of one of our sponsor companies, Riverstone Resources. Mike is going to have, for your benefit, a discussion with Eric Coffin of the Hard Rock Analyst, one of the Hard Rock Analysts, along with his brother David. They have been following Riverstone for quite some time now, and you're going to get some insight that I think you're going to thoroughly find enjoyable.
Hi, this is Eric Coffin. I'm one of the two editors of the HRA Advisories. My brother David and I have been publishing our news services for about 16 years now. It's a subscriber-only set of services that focuses on the resource industry, an industry we've got about 50 or 60 years experience with between the two of us. I'm speaking today to Mike McInnis, who's the president of Riverstone Resources. The reason for that is Riverstone's a company that we've covered for a couple of years now, and that we've had a string of alerts out on really since the beginning of this year. I'll give you a quick and dirty background on the company from our point of view. It was founded several years ago, and it was founded to work in a country called Burkina Faso. That's part of West Africa. More specifically from a gold point of view, it's part of the Ghanaian Shield, which is the source of a number of very large deposits in West Africa. Burkina Faso is a little different from its neighbors Ghana and Mali in that it's a landlocked country. That's probably the reason it was one of the later places to see a lot of attention. It's gotten quite a bit in the last few years, and in fact the gold production in Burkina Faso has gone from essentially zero to about 750,000 ounces in the past 4 or 5 years. David and I like Burkina a lot. We think it's one of those underexplored areas, and that there's going to be a lot more gold production. We think one of the companies with a good shot at that is, in fact, Riverstone that we follow. Riverstone has been working there for several years on several projects, but Karma is certainly the main asset and the main interest that the market has in it right now. They have discovered and developed about 1 million ounces of resources over the past few years. More recently, however, a couple of quite important things happened. They discovered a new zone there called NAMI that they've just started drilling on. So far, the results have been good, but more to the point, it looks like it's actually got quite a bit of scale. It's a fairly large zone. And they've also been able to get the market's attention, raise a lot of money, and they're getting to work on a number of other zones on the main project. What would you say your thrust, your focus is right now, Mike?
Our thrust right now is to try to move NAMI along as quickly as we can. The Karma project per se comprises 3 separate deposits in close proximity to each other. The NAMI is about 3 kilometers away from one of these 3 deposits. So our 1 million ounces is included in those 3, and we had that on a track to put it into a pre-feasibility level later this year. So with the NAMI discovery, we are attempting to bring NAMI forward so that it might get wrapped into any mine plan that eventually comes out of Karma project. We're really excited about it. As you've pointed out already, the footprint now is about 1.2 kilometers in length. It's about 400 meters in width, and it has something in the order of 8,000 artisanal miners pulling out some pretty flashy gold numbers out of it.
When you first showed this to Dave and I about 6 months ago, a lot of people had the same concern as us, which is, you know, what do you do with 8,000 guys that you basically like to have move 400 or 500 meters to the left if they don't want to do that? I was pretty impressed that you know, the artisanal guys seem to be, I mean, they're fine with it. They understand that that's your area to work, and you guys are being really good to them and trying not to get in their way, and they just, in fact, did step aside 500 meters to the left and let you do your thing.
Yeah, it's a very unusual situation in Burkina where the miners, they understand that, in fact, strictly speaking, they are legal. Although they're certainly tolerated by all companies. After all, they found it. But anytime we want to do any work, drilling or geophysics, we organize with the local chief of the village, who then organizes his second in command, tell them what areas we want cleared, when we want them cleared, and when they can come back. And they've been highly cooperative, and we've had no issue getting in and drilling NAMI, and don't expect to have any issues in the long term either.
One other thing, of course, with exploration in general, as we all know, it's a negative cash flow business. One of the happy things, I guess, for Riverstone in the last couple of months is your bank account's quite a bit fatter than it was early this year.
We raised some institutional funding within the last couple of months for nearly $10 million, which coupled with the cash we had on hand at the time, put us in a position of about $12 million in the treasury. Burkina is not an expensive area to work. Our costs are modest in terms of what it might be in a more remote area. So we see that money, even on very aggressive programs, lasting us at least another year and a half or two.
Like most places, Equatorial, it has a rainy season. We're going into that season probably the end of June. It probably runs through about August. What's your sense right now, given the location of the property and what the local conditions are like?
My instructions to our crew there is to basically, let's keep drilling until the rain really forces us out. Like seasons anywhere, it has intensities. Sometimes you'll get a heavy rain season, sometimes it'll be a lighter one. One season some years ago, we actually in fact drilled right through the rainy season because it wasn't particularly heavy rain during that period of time. You balance it out with how much downtime you have because you're paying for that rig standby versus how much drill time you're getting. So we're just going to kind of keep doing until the weather tells us, folks, you better come back in 3 or 4 weeks or a month. And
one important thing I want to add to that, in case those looking at the company are concerned that we're about to enter a bunch of dead air, you had an announcement this morning, in fact, that sort of detailed the rather large number of samples that you've got in the lab right now.
Yeah, we've had an experience which, like many of the operators at this time of the year, everybody's working hard in Burkina, trying to get work done before the rainy season, because there is parts of the country that are absolutely unavailable during the rainy season. So everybody works hard, puts their samples in. The count this morning was 6,970 samples we have in the lab, and our last results we got out from the lab were well over 3 weeks ago. So there is a backlog there. Our expectation is that they'll obviously come out over the next weeks, and I expect that we'll probably have releases through that whole rainy season, if you will.
How many drill holes would that represent in terms of what's in the lab right now?
What we've got in the lab right now, and this is approximate, Eric, in reverse circulation holes, we have about 40 holes that are in the lab. We have about 15 diamond drill holes and 120 RAB holes. These are the rotary air blast, which are kind of a prospecting tool.
You know, we harp on it a lot in the newsletter. News flow is obviously a very important thing, and what you've got in the lab right now, it sounds to me like there's going to be several drill releases from that, not including whatever else you manage to get done in the next little while. Now, do you think with the funds you've got in hand now, which are certainly plenty for Karma, are you strictly going to focus on Karma, or are you thinking about maybe stepping out onto one of the other projects? I know you've had several that you haven't really done a lot on in the last 2 years. I mean, are you thinking of revisiting any of that, or are there other spots on Karma itself, for that matter, that you think you're going to give a bit more attention now?
2 parts to that. We have 6 projects in the country. Karma is one of them. I'll say we have some interest from other parties to joint venture or option some of our properties. We're considering that. If in fact those come to pass, we'll have work going through a third party. If not, we will undertake some programs on those ourselves. We have in Karma itself, there's 700 square kilometers, so this is a fairly substantial area, and there are literally dozens of either small artisanal workings, gold shows, or soil geochem anomalies that are going to be followed up in the fall.
One thing I'll say in summary is that, you know, aside from the great results they've had so far and the market's responded, part of the reason we've always liked Riverstone was a good property set and strong management. The missing ingredient was always the $10 million that you happen to have now. So I mean, you guys have got the capability to really throw a bunch of drill holes at anything you really like the look of, which you couldn't really do until now.
No, that's exactly right, Eric. We've managed to put ourselves in a position right now that if a target cries out for drilling, we're in a position to begin a drill program on it. So it will be a judicious use of the money, but at the same token, if there is a target that needs to be followed up, either extending a current zone or drilling a down dip, then we're in a position to do that for sure.
I think the message is good company, good projects, enough money and enough work ongoing to deliver lots of results over the next few months. It's basically a combination that David and I do, and of course in this case have recommended that our subscribers take a hard look at, and you probably should too.
You know, I have to say that Kathy and I rely on the research that we get from David and Eric Coffin, a couple of really, really competent, thorough people. And my personal opinion, and this isn't really any kind of investment advice because I'm not a registered investment advisor, but you know, when these guys like a company, and Mike, they like your company a lot, I would think that that really merits consideration. Mike McInnis, thank you so much.
Al, thank you very much, and Eric, you as well.